Okay, it has been 1 week for the Serape Jasper in coarse grit 6090. We're going to see what it's looking like. We had to restart it because the barrel was so packed. It ran for a week and nothing happened. So now let's take a look and see what we've got. It's been another week. Let's see if this one did anything. Ooh. Got a nice dirty brown grit there. Let's pull this out, see what we have. Do a quick rinse here. Very pretty, but as you can see, there's a lot that still needs to be worked out. All this needs to come out still, so it looks like it's doing its job. So this is, I think it's going to definitely need 1 more week in course, so we're going to have to clean the barrel. You know, get rid of all the old grit and then recharge it with some new. This is really interesting. Let's pull out another one. And let's get all the slurry off of it. Whew, look at this one. So there's a lot of pitting right here that can come off. Or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. It might just be the Jasper. Look at that. That is really a pretty stone. Okay, let's grab another one. You see, it's like all these, I mean, it's smoothing quite a bit, but there's still a lot going on. Trying to get a good focus on this here. See, that's a really rough spot right there. Let's see if you can see that in the camera. Let's see that. Another week in course, we'll get rid of that. Let's dig down a little deeper and get something off the bottom here. So with it dried off, you can see like more of the pits right here. Some of these spots that we're going to want to smooth down more. Let's see if you can see that without me screwing up the zoom on here. Look at that. Yeah. Kind of see some of the areas we want smoothed out. These are beautiful stones though. Okay, so we're going to take the Serape Jasper and we're going to clean it off, and then we're going to recharge the barrel. When in rock tumbling, when you talk about recharging, you talk, what we're talking about is putting in new grit. So we're going to want to clean. Oh yeah, you can see how much this one needs work done. Let's see if we can get a good close up here. Right in here. Smooth that out more. But these sharp edges are smoothing nicely. Just a couple little places. I don't know, I think another week, possibly 2, before this becomes the way we want it. Okay. So that's the Serape Jasper. We have a lot. We have like 6 barrels that are all in 60-90. So we got a lot to go through here today. Let's just put this back in here. So we're going to clean it out. Let's see, what else do we have? Ooh, nothing's in balance. There we go. Okay. Let's see, what do we have in here? This is our Botswana Agate. We're going to open it up and see where we're at. Just a little off camera here. These 7 barrels, you're going to need to mark the bottom of them so you know what's in them. I do tend to forget. Oof. Oh, I should have had these barrels open before I started videoing. Alright, this lid looks a little different than the other one, not as brown. So this is the Botswana Agate. Let's take a look here. Ooh, does that feel really gritty? It's really super gritty. All that foam. Ooh, isn't that lovely? This is going to definitely take a couple more weeks. You see all the roughness? It's definitely going to take a couple more weeks. Let's dig down. There's a lot of stuff up on the top here. Let's get something deeper down. Yeah, this agate's super rough. Probably going to take a good couple extra weeks. Wish we could have feel-o-vision so you could feel the differences in the stones. Again, Botswana Agate. Oh, it's a neat little spot there. Kind of a nice peachy color on this one. But it's super, super rough. Yeah, there's a lot of work that has to happen with this. Yeah, lots of work. That back in its barrel. It's alright to dump the stuff back in here because we're going to be cleaning it out completely in a little bit. Let's see what else we've got going. So this is the Kambaba Jasper. Let's see what's happening in it. This is in our 45C barrel. Oh, again, these have all been in for a solid week in 60-90 grit. We have to stand up for this. These barrels are bigger than the 3-pound barrels we were in just a minute ago. Oof, just doesn't want to come off. It's nice and tight. Ooh, that's a super great lid there. Ooh, it feels really smooth. As opposed to that agate, which is super rough. Okay, let's rinse this off. Look at that. This is going much faster than the other two. I'd say, I don't know, let's less than a week, maybe a whole week more, probably another whole week. Trying to dig down. Look at that. Yeah, you can see, I don't know, can you see the different planes on this? To get that a perfectly smooth side would lose so much mass. I think another week we'll have really, wow. These stones are so cool. Yeah, about another week. Okay, let's look at Kambaba Jaspers. Let's see, what else do we have in our barrels? This is in our QT 66, which is just means it's a dual 6-pound barrel. So again, these barrels were all brand new last week, so they're a little hard to get loose right now. Let's see what we have in here. I think this is the tiger's eye. Oh, it needs a lot more time. This has only been, actually, we put this in on the 12th. It's only been in 2 days, so this is silly to even look at this one. Just the blue tiger's eye. Yeah. This one needs to just go right back where it was. Let's clean the side of the bear, side of the lip. Put it back on. We have a yellow Jasper on this barrel too. That's the one I thought that I was grabbing. The yellow one has been in. The yellow Jasper's been in for a week. This tiger's eye's only been in for 2 days. We'll be right back. Okay, yellow Jasper. Kind of looks like yellow paint. This is a really thin slurry. So I'm seeing a lot of stones here, little chips. But again, it's super smooth. So 1 week has been doing really well. There's a lot going on in here. It's definitely going to need another week or two in course. Ooh, look at all that. See all that. I'll try to zoom. We're getting a good look here on the zoom. 1 week in course. Okay. So what we're going to do is wash all these off, give them a good rinse the barrels, and then start over in course. So it'll be week 2. All right. Okay, we are back with our yellow Jasper. It has had 1 week in course, and now we're going to take a good look at it before we put it back in for its 2nd week in course. So we have some lovely pieces here. Let's get the camera right where we need it. So you can see that the edges are smoothing, but there's still little pieces here that need to be smoothed out. No major problems. So things like this are going to take a little longer. These crevices. This is a little chip that came off, but again, it's going back in course, so it doesn't matter. This is really interesting. This almost looks like it's paint. Look at that. Oh, it's inside that other stone. Wow. This has got some big places here that grit can congregate and make some problems, so back it goes. Nothing in here is going to be ready to move on to medium, so we're not going to have to worry about that, but we're just taking some look, see how these things are rolling, see if they're getting, you know, pretty beat up. We have a lot of little small chips that we're going to take out. We don't want to grind them to nothing, and I have another project I can use those for. Ooh, look at the lines on that. Excuse me. Then we've got, oh, this is just really up. Leaf from outside. We want to make sure none of that goes into the barrel. This is interesting. Wondering if that's going to come off in the next round of course. Yeah, so we're going to go through the rest of these, look for any major problems, pull out the little stones, and we'll be back with the next barrel. Hi. So we've got little stone chips that we're going to use for another project with essential oils. Then we have problem children, which we don't know what we're going to do with, but we don't want to put them back in course. There's just too many issues with them, and I don't want to do anything with them just yet. So I'm going to set these aside for another future date. Over here, we have some that are ready for medium. And this is getting really smooth. And medium will take out these tiny blemishes. So I'm very interested to see what happens with this. And then we have our barrel to get ready to put back in for more coarse. Already layered it in. We've got, you know, some ceramic media in there to help cushion it, but there's these really rough, jagged, sharp edges that we're just going to grind off. So a few more days, I think. A few more days. So I'm going to put another 60-90 grit in here because it's going to go through another whole week in coarse. Okay, we'll be back in a little bit. Alright, here's our Botswana Agate after 1 week in course. Isn't that beautiful? What a pretty design. As you can see, these are super rough still. Wow, that's gorgeous. And what we're going to do is we're looking for anything that's just not going to progress well. And we're going to pull it out. Now there was no chips in here, which was very surprising. This might be a real problem child. I didn't find any chips like we did with the yellow agate or yellow Jasper. So I guess that's a good sign. But I'm looking for like massive problems. I'm not really seeing any, just desperately needing more coarse. Oh, that's really interesting. I know we're just kind of doing a quick look here. This might be a problem in here. We'll see what happens after its second week. I mean, there's some pitting on this one. And there's coarse grit still in there. Which is alright because it's going back into coarse. Isn't that nifty? Oof. Very pretty. This is super pitted. I don't know what's going to happen with this one. And there's just some little pieces here. Some pitting on it. I mean, there's some potential with Botswana Agate, but I'm not in love with it just yet. We'll see what happens. Okay, this is ready to add water and add coarse, and we'll see it next week. We'll be back in a moment. Okay, we are back with our Kambaba Jasper. Let's give it a little, I want to keep it as wet as possible. So now, let's move the camera. So like our other yellow Jasper, we're looking for major issues. We've only found 2 little tiny chips. We could go to our other project. There's some pitting in here that's rather large. I'm pretty sure that we can get that to come out. Pretty sure that'll be okay. It's just so interesting. There's a large divot here, but it's nice and smooth. So I don't know if you can see those. Yeah, there you go. Hoping that will smooth out. So there's still some sharp pieces. That's probably where one of these chips came from right there. Ooh, that one's really cool. Yeah, I don't know if this needs another whole week or just maybe 4 days. So we'll check it in 4 days and we'll see how it's coming along. There's a hole right there, and you can see there's still some residue from the other slurry, but it's going right back in, so I'm not worried about over cleaning it. Okay. Oh, that's got some yellow. That's nice. I was really surprised with the yellow Jasper how many problem children we had with it. Like, I'm not finding any deep crevices, just some little tiny ones that will probably come out relatively quickly. That's the fun of all this, is refining the recipes, figuring out timelines. This one's got some issues. Looks like it's either gonna crack or there's something in there. Well, I'm gonna let that run because it's on the edge, and maybe it'll get smoothed out. We'll pull it out next week if it doesn't look like it wants to do what it's doing. This has got a lot of smoothing that needs to be done on this one. Lots of smoothing. This is really thin, but there's still some jaggedness to it that I wouldn't want to move this to medium, so I hope it'll last. We'll see if there'll be anything left of it next week. It's the problem, is we keep losing mass. Oh, isn't that one neat? Okay. This could be an issue here. This is a valley. It's a crack right there. This is a divot, but it's smooth. There's like a fault line in the center, but you can see it, but you can't feel it. So that's curious to see what happens there. Well, it looks like nothing gets pulled out for medium. Everything goes back into rough. And there we go. These two little pieces will go in with our Jasper chip pile. Little tiny chips. See if there's any more next week. Alright, we're going to move on to our next barrel. Serape Jasper. Just have a couple of pieces because we're leaving this super huge. And we're just starting to see how absolutely stunning this is going to be. This is going to need another week, obviously. And it's coming along really well. So we really shouldn't be putting this in a 3-pound barrel, but there's only a couple of pieces of it because I didn't want to crack it down. Oof, look at this. I do love red rocks. Isn't this nifty? So as you can see up here, we still need some more smoothing and shaping. This is an interesting shape. I kind of hope that stays. especially that. But this little piece could go. A lot of rough edges here it needs to be taken care of. There's some rough edges here. This one looks kind of milky, but boy, it almost looks like mookaite. But yeah, another week in course and these are going to be gorgeous. I'm not sure it's going to need a third week. Problem child here. We're going to have to watch for that. You can even see there's still some grit in there. But it's going back into the same grit, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. So we have one problem child in this batch. This is really interesting. I think this is red jasper on the edges here, and it almost looks like paint drops. It's really interesting. There's some problems here, but it might smooth out. We'll see. So we had an interesting time with our Serape Jasper. Is we had this barrel so full it wouldn't turn. So the grit after a week was still intact. And then we took out a couple pieces and added some, and put it in for a second week of course. So technically it's going into its third week of course, but because nothing happened that first week, I mean, it was still really rough, sharp edges and all. I'm only counting this as the second week. Get some of this down in here. Let's just pour the rest of this ceramic media in here. Okay. It's a little less than 2/3 full. But that's okay. It still needs to knock around quite a bit. Okay, we'll put our quartz in here. 3-pound barrel. It's going to be 4 tablespoons. Add some water. See that. It's more than enough water. Okay. And we're going to take a look at our calcite and see what's going on with it next. Be right back. Okay, so this is our repair barrel for the calcite. And we have just these teensy little tiny chips here that came off, but we're looking, this has gotten really smooth. All those really bad rough spots are gone, so it can move on to medium. And again, this is the repair barrel, so these are all the ones that gave us trouble the first time around, and those ones are in polish and they might be done today. So these have spent a solid week in course for a correction. That's it. They look really good. So what we're going to do is we're going to put these through probably a 1-hour wash cycle. We're going to wash them with all this grit to make sure that there's nothing cross-contaminating when it moves on to medium. We'll put it in medium for a couple of days, move it on to fine polish, and then see where we're at. Or not fine polish, but fine grit. So, okay. That catches us up on our barrels. See you next week.